We begin with Nigerians who are calling on the police and other security services to unravel the circumstances that led to the brutal killing of a former presidential political advisor, Ahmed Gulak, who was shot dead in Owerri, the Imo State capital. Rights political editor Samna Sambo profiles the late politician and reactions to his death.
Until his killing on Sunday, Ahmed Gulak was a Nigerian lawyer, former Speaker of the Adamawa State House of Assembly, and former political advisor to ex-President Goodluck Jonathan. He was a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress after his defection from the People's Democratic Party in 2018. In 2014, he had picked a nomination form to run for governor of Adamawa State under the PDP, but failed to make progress at the party's primaries. Following the intractable crisis rocking the former ruling party, Gulak in January 2016 declared himself the new national chairman of the PDP, but he was cornered by party leaders and described as a jester. In 2018, Gulak and 16 other PDP leaders in Adamawa State defected to the governing All Progressives Congress. He was then made the chairman of the APC governorship primaries in Imo State prior to the 2019 general election. The assignment remained chaotic as he alleged a threat to his life for refusing to accept an alleged $2 million bribe from former Imo State Governor Rochas Okorocha, who had wanted his son-in-law Uche Nwosu to get the APC gubernatorial ticket at all costs. Gulak and his committee members would later leave Owerri hastily due to the alleged threats. The death of the former presidential advisor on Sunday in the same Owerri town, the Imo State capital, has now left many Nigerians in shock, with some linking his death to the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, or IPOB. But IPOB denies the killing, while describing it as a political assassination and calling on security agencies to investigate the Imo State governor, Hope Uzodinma, over Gulak's death. Some northern groups have also given a 2-week ultimatum to Governor Uzodinma to fish out the killers of the late Ahmed Gulak. The police in Imo State has confirmed the killing, while stating that Gulak left his hotel room to catch a flight without informing them or other security agencies, in view of the fragile security situation in the southeast and Imo in particular. The police describes the killers as armed bandits in a Toyota Sienna and accused the late Gulak's driver of using an irregular route to the Sam Mbakwe airport from where they were attacked. Meanwhile, the Southeast Caucus of the National Assembly has condemned the killings and attacks in the region, while urging the Inspector General of Police to investigate and unravel the mysterious unknown gunmen, unleashing violence on the people and federal institutions in the Southeast. Somna Sambo, Arise News.
Well, for more on this story as it's developing, let's now turn to Arise analyst, Dr. Sam AMADI. Dr. AMADI, thank you so much for being here. And once again, you know, the spotlight is on Imo State with a heightened insecurity, not just in that particular state now, but especially the Southeast. What more should the security agencies be doing? Because it seems like it's one killing too many these days.
Absolutely. I think tragic. First, the death of Mr. Alhaji Gulak, who interestingly has so many friends across the Southeast, having practiced in Abuja as a lawyer, some of us know him very well. I think clearly this is maybe becoming intractable, so much crisis, so much killing. If you look at the data from the police on Friday, about 105 police officers have been killed since January. I think 55 of them in the Southeast, with Akwa Ibom having about 22, Anambra 18, Rivers about 14, Imo 13, then Enugu 10, and Delta 8, and so on and so forth. So really, it's like the killing is growing. Now we've seen, yet unidentified, but now a private. In the past, it has been only police and security facilities and infrastructure. But now we've seen a major protocol, a leading politician becoming a victim to...
He's not, Sam. He's not from Imo State.
No, because
just like
victim,
you said, just like you said, he has friends across the Niger. Absolutely. You know, I mean, having practiced as a lawyer, he would have definitely made friends. But would you want to recall the 2019 governorship primary elections in Imo State and what the police commissioner in Imo State, the statement he has issued today, isn't he hasty? Jumping to conclusion, you've identified the Sienna. Gulak was not alone in the Toyota Camry where he was brought out and shot. Where is the driver? And who was the other passenger?
Well, I think,
why were they not killed?
No, but I think at this point the police are engaged in the discussion because we're getting some snipers saying, okay, the driver said this, said that. What the police did was hastily in the sense to say, look, first, they put blame on him. He left without clearance, which seems to say, oh, why did he go?
Yes.
Why did he go without a security? But again, Gulak is interestingly a very popular person in Imo State. After that election, he was hailed as a savior of the state because apparently he denied ticket to Governor Okorocha, and many people swear. In fact, it was a popular saying, "Where's Gulak?" in Imo State. Interestingly, he would have come, maybe APC is trying to do Congress. Nobody knows whether it's private or political. But the point is this, the fact that he was dressed in ordinary clothes, jeans, for the picture we saw, jeans and a shirt, the fact that he came with, he was seen in a Camry, he was in a Camry before the incident, suggests that this is probably people who followed him from the hotel because there's nothing that give him away, first as a northerner, or secondly as a high-profile politician. So the police will be working on the lead, probably persons who saw him at Proti Hotel. The police identified that he was in Proti Hotel, left very early, perhaps to catch flights, because that was a 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock flight. So he's moving early. And the complication that people say, there are not many reported cases of killing around that area, so that you can say mass violence, okay? So it's probably, you know, this is targeted killing. And the question is, who has incentive to kill Gulak? Now, IPOB has come out straight and said, look, we have no business. This guy is not strategic to us. It's not anything that we're looking for.
It's not a target at all.
It's not our target. So this is...
You can't even be true what we're even hearing.
After that primaries then, he had raised an alarm that his life was threatened alongside the lives of other members of the committee that selected the aspirants for the APC in Imo State. Can we find some sort of connection here, looking at how the police is already handling it as it is?
Well, the police has so many leads. First, this is somebody who has obvious enemies in the state, having been at the head of a political outcome that are losers and winners. So the police is going to factor that as a lead. Either people want him dead. He also, the first time it happened, the idea was unknown government, which is the phenomenon, you know. And the idea is, okay, he was killed.
It was a guest of the Imo State governor.
Good. He was killed in a place.
So why didn't the Imo State government provide him necessary security?
That is part of the...
How did they know his movement? Who would have known about his movement?
No, police knew after the fact. Of course, when it's a robbery or a killing, the police will now find out. The police says he left the hotel, which is verifiable. He came on camera because the car was there. He was with 2 people. So they would have taken into custody perhaps the driver, the 2 other persons. But the critical point for us here is that this didn't look like what it looked before. It looked like a clear case of the conventional unknown government, which focuses on police and government facility. So the fact that he was nondescript, he dressed like any other person, he had his face mask. So that means it was probably planned, focused, and followed through.
You know what, Dr. Sam, we'll come back and continue this conversation, but we do have videos from the funeral of the late Ahmed Gulak, and of course, let's have that, and we'll come back and continue our chat.
What you're watching now is the remains of the late Ahmed Gulak, former political advisor to President Goodluck Jonathan and a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, who was murdered in the early hours of Sunday in Owerri. This was at the Central Mosque in Abuja, where his remains were taken to for prayers.
Before, of course, it was eventually interred at the Gudu Cemetery right here in Abuja.
Yes, indeed.
Quite unfortunate.
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate. We're talking about the various leads, you know, that the police should be looking at. For me, there is already a hasty generalization by the police. Is the police going to be looking towards who was his guest.
I'm sure those are elementary. First, if somebody traveled, you want to look who hosted him, phone calls before close and before, yes, because who spoke with him. The many things could also be a victim of circumstance, because the story some people are putting out is about perhaps based on the situation, security situation. So the person will look at it. But what one thing is ruled out clearly now is that this is not ethnic profiling, because clearly he's not, he cannot be identified as ethnic anybody. This has to deal with either assassination plan, some conspiracy targeted at him because he was singled out, or he could be a victim. So police will work on it. But I agree with you that maybe it sounds generalized, but the police actually want to put out the first statement is that, look, we're not responsible. We were not informed, which I thought was like saying, oh, if this guy had told us, we're providing security at his level, he needs security. The question is, did he deliberately travel incognito so as to avoid being noticed by not taking, or was it denied security, or did they not envisage that this could happen? So it could be lying low.
Okay.
Absolutely. But going by the past experience, Dr. Sam AMADI, when you look at assassinations, is there any hope, you think, that the killers of this man will be unraveled? Because, like I said earlier, one killing too many that most of the time go without getting the right answers.
The problem with killing Nigeria and finding answers is that we don't have cameras, and the police come always after the fact. For example, how do the killers may have gone, left the scene. Some villagers will become victims. I'm getting report. By the way, that place is Ngokbala, where I come from, and I'm hearing that some people are worried about whether they will be raided because this government may not have come from the community. Okay,
Sam, let's just take some audio from these final prayers being said to the late Ahmed Gulak at the National Mosque in Abuja.
All right, we might not be able to get audios, but of course right now you're watching the funeral procession. Of course, it started when his remains arrived at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport here in Abuja, and eventually was taken to the Central Mosque, where prayers were held for the departed. And of course, eventually he was interred at the Gudu Cemetery right here in the nation's capital.
Now let's look at IPOB, Dr. Sam, denying any complicity in this matter. I mean, ordinarily fingers would have been pointed at them, but like you said, he's got no stake in that state or in the entirety of the Southeast and the rest. What other clues can the police, be looking for to unravel the death?
I think at this stage the police will not completely exclude anything, but they could look at, for example, the political side of it. Is it possible? It may not be, but essentially the fact that this is a highly polarizing figure in Imo State today, and the fact that it's also a PDP, APC Congress coming up. So first question is, did he come for any political work? Is there some political issues around it? Second is also to look at the fact that we talk about the driver and the two persons who are there. Did he join ride? Or did he, travel alone? So who are these people? So that will give a lead. And then ultimately, the question is, what conversations, what meetings did he have while in Proti? Wow. And ultimately, the question around insecurity. If there was, so far, we've not had any story about killings along that route. It's straight to the airport. So maybe he was an innocent victim of one-off something, or he is a victim of a conspiracy.
Being targeted. And of course, the people around that area in Imo State and the Southeast are complaining because the governor of Imo State had said, go against the IPOB order of sit at home. But right now, they're saying with all of these targeted killings, who should we listen to?
And IPOB says, we'd have no stake in this.
Dr. Sam AMADI would have to say thank you so much for joining us tonight on the program.